Now we're introducing a hypothetical example to demonstrate a concrete use case of the risk assessment process using a qualitative method that is based on the three-level high, medium, low risk matrix. ABC Bank, as a trusted institution, it has many high-value assets ranging from interest calculation systems, customer PII, personally identifiable information, to consumer financial data and reputation. This example focuses only on one of this asset, consumer financial data, such as account number, account balance, and transaction history. The risk assessment process is triggered by compliance checkpoint requirements and sponsored by CFO, Chief Financial Officer of ABC Bank. At the kickoff meeting, a risk management team is formed. CFO is the sponsor, who is the decision maker on resource prioritization and allocation. VP of Consumer Service is the asset owner who owns the consumer financial data and provides the asset classification and value estimation. Assume we take the information security professional role, who is responsible for identifying threat and estimating the likelihood and the magnitude of impact. IT engineering team manager is also part of the assessment team, who is responsible for providing information regards vulnerability and existing controls and evaluation of their effectiveness. Later, he is also responsible for cost-benefit analysis at the risk mitigation phase. So the risk management team met with the CFO and confirmed with the scope of the risk assessment is solely on one asset, consumer financial data, that is stored in the internal database server within ABC Bank firewall. The data in transit is not in scope for this exercise. Later, the team also confirmed with the VP of Consumer Services, the asset owner, that consumer financial data is a high business impact HBI asset class across all CIA properties. Hence, we're only using one class, HBI, to represent overall asset class. To identify threat, use common terminology to facilitate discussions surrounding threats. For example, what do stakeholders want to avoid happening to various assets? Focus discussions on what may happen versus how it may happen. Phrase questions in terms of the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of the asset. This example here focuses only on the threat of a loss of integrity to consumer financial data, unauthorized access to consumer data through theft of financial advisor credentials. Additional threat may also exist surrounding the availability and confidentiality of consumer data. However, they are out of scope for this basic example in order to save time. For the vulnerability identification, we focus on how the threat could occur. There are three vulnerabilities considering the above threat. First is the theft of the financial advisor credentials by trusted employee, abuse, non-technical attacks such as social engineering or eavesdropping. Second vulnerability is the theft of the financial advisor credentials off LAN host through the use of outdated security configurations of antivirus signatures, host configurations, or outdated security patches. Third is the theft of a financial advisor's credential off remote or mobile host as a result of outdated security configurations. There may be many more vulnerabilities in this scenario. The goal is to demonstrate how vulnerabilities are assigned to specific threats. Let's look at how to determine the likelihood of each threat vulnerability pair when existing controls are in place. So this table shows 4 TV pair based on the basic ABC Bank example we just mentioned. The risk management team worked together through a combination of a questionnaire and brainstorming workshops and meetings. Collectively, they identify the exposure level for each given TV pair, assuming these level definitions are given. These exposure levels provide the extent of asset damage if being successfully attacked without any control in place. The likelihood in the rightmost column is different from exposure level, since it represents the likelihood of each TV pair successfully exercised on the asset when existing controls are in place. Assuming the definitions for HML likelihood are given, as in previous sample table provided in step 3 of risk assessment phase. This likelihood will be later used in the impact analysis. In this example, the unauthorized access to consumer financial data through theft of financial advisor credentials, through remote compromise with existing controls on remote host configurations, and the likelihood of its successfully exercised is high. While the theft through LAN managed devices has high exposure rating, but with existing controls in LAN network, the likelihood of its successfully exercised is medium. For impact analysis, assuming, based on the sample definitions on impact high, medium, low levels, and the specific effect for ABC Bank based on asset consumer financial data, each TV pair identified in the assessment table, the impact effect can be estimated based on the likelihood and asset value, and then captured in the rightmost column by the risk management team. The impact from the unauthorized access to consumer financial data through the theft of the financial advisor credentials, through both remote compromise and the LAN managed devices, are high according to the impact rating definitions, while the impact from employee abuse and man-in-middle attack are medium and low, respectively. For risk determination, we use the qualitative risk matrix introduced early. It is quite straightforward to determine the risk level high, medium, low based on the likelihood column and impact rating column through a lookup on the given risk matrix. Now, this table contains all necessary components for the well-formed risk statements, such as asset name, classification, threat, vulnerability, existing controls, and the derived likelihood and the impact rating. Then finally, the risk level is determined and documented. The risk ranking is the most important result from the risk assessment phase. In this basic example, 2 high risks have been identified. They are the unauthorized access to consumer data through the theft of the financial advisor credentials due to remote compromise and the LAN compromise. This risk due to the password theft through employee is medium. The risk due to the man in the middle is low. The final risk assessment report will consist of the well-formed risk statement in table or paragraphs reading, consistent definitions on exposure level, likelihood level, impact level or effects, risk matrix used to determine the risk level from impact and likelihood.